Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning, and I say morning, it's almost afternoon. We had a bunch of bad thunderstorms go through. The really nasty stuff went north of us. We didn't have to deal with that, but it was close enough that our weather radio kept us alerted to it. And probably 12, 15 times overnight it went off, and it disrupts your sleep. You wake up. So I passed out, and I slept hard in between the weather radio alerts. And I woke up this morning and my wife was already awake. She was reading and decided to take the dogs out. So I leashed them up and she came with me walking down the street. She goes, "You got any idea what time it is?" No. It was 10 o'clock. I slept till 10 o'clock. I haven't slept till 10 o'clock since I was sick. I guess, when you're ill, sometimes you sleep in, but man, oh man. But I'm out in the garage finally now. I'm gonna be out here just for a very short period of time because breakfast is cooking. And we may call it brunch because it's kind of between, breakfast and lunch. I don't know what we're going to call it. But I'm going to go ahead and get this blank. I've got over here the blank that I re-glued the tube in. I'm going to get it set up and probably go ahead, start doing a little bit of light sanding on it until breakfast is ready. And then basically I'll be back out in the garage today. We'll work on the checkerboard blank, get it going. And then if I can get it turned, we'll start working on building a few other blanks. If I can't get it turned, we'll go back and rebuild that blank out of some thicker wood. I think I talked to you about that in the other video. Beyond that, I'm just going to get busy and I will promise to keep you guys posted throughout the day. Well, everybody, the first pin is finished, sort of. Here's the blank. It looks absolutely amazing. You'll see more of it if you watch the video. That's what this video was about, was building this blank. The issue I had is there was a tiny repair on the front, and I don't know how well you can see it there. It shows up really well in the video. And when I repaired that with some medium CA, it adhered to the front tube. The front tube in this was just in there to hold this on the lathe so that I could turn it. Normally it pops out, and then I slide the tube with the transmission, the nib, into the pin, and it becomes removable from the front. That was my fault. I screwed it up, but the blank build was a success. So I'm going to go ahead and publish the video because I think, I think there are a lot of guys out there who will enjoy it and who may attempt this blank. Oh, that just really drives you crazy. I've got my checkerboard blank cut in half, and I've got it drilled, and the tubes are glued in. They should be dry. I'm going to go check them and make sure they're not tacky or anything. And if they're good and dry, we're going to go ahead and start turning that one. I'm a little bit nervous because on one of the blank halves, as I drilled it, I went a little bit off center, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But until we try, we don't know. So I will keep you guys posted. Well, I got the checkerboard blank done, and second pin in a row I've made a stupid mistake on. Notice down here at the tip, I've got maple by maple and walnut by walnut. I did not rotate the end of the pin when I glued it together. I don't know how I did it. I wasn't in a hurry. I wasn't rushing to make this pin. I just didn't pay attention. So I think overall, I went ahead and finished the pin because the concept was proven, and I could not be happier with this particular concept for a pin blank. And I also went ahead and made it because I wanted to show people that, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Sometimes I make more than the average person. The difference is me showing a video. A lot of times I can clip those mistakes out. I try not to. I try to leave them in. I try to show them, and then I try to show how I go about repairing them because I think there's more benefit in that than there is making a perfect project every week. But it is what it is. I have found my next project, my Turner's Club. Each month we have a project. We call it the President's Challenge. And the president will come up, of the club will come up and say, well, let's make an ornament this month, or let's make a bowl this month, whatever. And you go home over the course of the next 4 weeks, you attempt to turn something. You bring it into the meeting for the show and tell portion of the meeting. And the thing about the idea is to get more people involved in making projects and showing them at the club. This month's President's Challenge is to turn a top. Now, I've turned a top before, and it actually turned out really nice. It was better than I thought. It spun like crazy. I was really happy with it. But I want to try a different one. I've got a top book that I've been looking at, and I've had it for a while. And there's a top in there called a tippy top. And the way this top works is it's kind of round like a ball. And it's got a stem, and you spin it, and it'll spin normally for a few minutes, and then it'll start to wobble, and it'll flip up on the stem and spin on the stem. So it seems pretty cool to me. They say it's a little difficult to make. You know, you've got to have a pretty decent sphere for the bottom of your top. So that's something that I am not super well versed at, but it's something that I would like to learn more about. So I thought I would go ahead and attempt to turn a tippy top. So I went up and I pulled this piece of material. I am not 100% sure what it is. I'm thinking it's a poplar. It has a little bit of spalting going on. I don't think it's still pretty solid. It's not spongy. I don't think it's going to be an issue. As a matter of fact, I think this is what I turned my last top out of. And that top is really, really nice. So I'm going to chuck this back up. It's already got a tenon on it. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to turn a tippy top. So let's see what happens. Well, I made my tippy top. Only one problem. It doesn't tip. Here's a quick spin. And let's see if I can keep it in camera. You'll see that it starts to wobble, which is what it's supposed to do. But at that point, it should flip over. So I'm assuming that maybe I didn't hollow enough material out, or maybe the radius of my circle or my curve there just isn't what it needs to be, because it never quite flips. Nevertheless, I had a great time making it. It was a good experience. I've got a top. We just have to turn a top for clubs. So I definitely have a top, and I've got a story. And I also have that blank still chucked up in the lathe. So there's a good possibility I may go back and attempt to turn a second one of these, or I may just turn something else from the book, because there's probably a dozen, maybe 15 tops in there, and 90% of them are straight up tops. I mean, they're a point and a nice big area that gives it some balance, some counterbalance, and a stem, and you just spin them and they go great, which is kind of what this one does. So we'll see what happens. I'm calling it quits on tops for now, though. I think I'm going to take a look at my dust collector. I need to build a couple of leveling feet, something that I can put in the corners and crank a bolt out to level that thing up, because it's not quite level. And I don't plan on leveling the frame. I plan on leveling the dust collector. So I'll set my levels both ways on the dust collector, and I'll crank it up or down to level that. And then once it is leveled, I'll be ready to go ahead and run the electric and fire it up. I'm real close on it, real close. So I think I'm going to fiddle with that for a little while. All right, guys, I went up to the big box store the other day looking for some feet to level the dust collector, the frame of the dust collector. And of course, all they had were these tiny little things that go on maybe a coffee table, could hold no weight. And that thing's probably, I got to guess, 150 to 200 pounds. So I made my own. I just took a scrap piece of wood. I drilled a 1/2-inch hole part of the way down into the wood and drove a nut in there, put a carriage bolt on there, jam nut on the top, and now I can mount these in the corners and crank them up or down to perfectly level that dust collector. I've got 4 of them ready to go. All I got to do now is get them mounted and we can start leveling. Well, I got the feet up on the loft and I started installing them, and then my wife called me in for dinner, so I went in and had a good dinner. And I got a few things I got to take care of inside the house this afternoon, as well as editing a few videos. So I'm going to call it quits in the shop tonight. I think tomorrow is going to be house cleaning, so I don't know if I'll get any shop time until maybe later in the afternoon, but I hope that I do, because I'd really like to get those levelers installed on the shop vac, because that's the next big step. Once it's level, then I think I'm ready to start wiring it up. So I can't think of anything else I need to do. But I'm going to call it quits for tonight. I'd like to thank you for hanging out with me, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.